It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, some of them are pretty macabre.
Yeah, we were reading some fairy tales to our first daughter, and we were, my wife and I were alternating at various nights at bedtime, and we were finding some of these fairy tales to be just starkly inappropriate, right? I mean, just disturbing. But for whatever reason, we decided that she had to hear some classic fairy tales, so we were changing them just on the fly as we read them, just kind of cleaning them up.
so,
But
so how?
but but we were changing them differently, obviously, because we were just doing it extemporaneously. You're just kind of just swapping in, little bits that covered the holes, but doing it differently. So our daughter was getting this weird sense of what reading was like. It's like it's not like she's heard this story, now 15 times. And it's been different every time. Like, do her
Oh,
parents have brain damage, or is reading not what I think it is?
that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's tough to do it on the fly because you've got to know what's coming next, and you've got to remember
yeah,
your
yeah,
lies. And
yeah,
it's just a house of cards if
yeah.
one thing's wrong. Yeah, I mean they've all been updated now. I mean, apart from the politics of them, just the death and violence. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's sort of the point. Maybe that is the point, that fiction introduces you, taking your mind to places your body hasn't been yet. And I think that's a great thing in fiction, because I probably did learn a lot from fiction and films, until you're the first thing to die is probably a pet
Mm-hmm.
or a
Yeah.
great grandparent, and it gets you ready, I think. And I
Yeah,
think fiction is
except I mean, so there's that. There's some of it that is getting you ready for things that you're likely to experience. There's some kind of warnings not to wander too far from your parents' company because it's a dangerous world. But then there's just the needlessly sadistic and insane stuff. So there's the story. I think it's Hansel and Gretel, where the the wicked stepmother convinces the father to let her lead the kids out into the wilderness to die. Right? It's like, so we're now introduced to a
yeah.
world where a father, with his with
Mm.
his trophy wife, can be convinced to kill his kids, and you're reading this to your 5-year-old. It's bizarre.
But then there's classic, classic kid stories. That it is death and revenge, and
Yeah.
it was just. I suppose it was the politics of the day. As I go back to watching medieval things or things about Vikings or Game of Thrones, it teaches you that if there's one thing that can get you out of every situation, it's murder. You just if they're in your way,
Yeah.
you just murder them. It's like there's a. Do you remember the see about getting? There's an old '70s joke that I remember. A woman goes on holiday with the kids, and the dad stays at home and looks after the house and the pets and everything. And the mother phones home the first day and said, "Everything all right?" He went, "Yeah, everything's all right." He said, "Except the cat's dead." And the wife goes, "Well, why'd you break it to me like that?"
Hmm.
He said, "What was I meant to say?" He said, "Well, do it gently. Like the first time I would say, 'Oh, the cat's on the roof. Oh, what's it up there? Oh, I'll just get it down.' Then the next day you go, 'Oh, I can't get it down.' And then, the third day you say, 'Oh, it fell and it died.'" He went, "All right, sorry." She goes, "Oh, just be a bit more sensitive." He went, "Okay." Next day she calls up and she says, "Everything all right?" He says, "Yeah, yeah. Your mother's on the roof." So good.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh dear.
Uh,
Well, I think we've
we've exhausted the topic of entertainment
death,
and grief.
death and
Yeah.
fun, kids' films being traumatic and making making grown men cry.